Nobody formally interviews in this business. Someone vouched for you, and I picked up the phone. And all you have to do is not it up. I've hired over 1,000 crew members across 25 years, and I'm still the one making those calls today. But by the time I dial your number, I've already started forming an opinion. In this video, I'm going to show you the 7 mistakes that keep crew off my list, or cost them the next call after they finally get on it. Before the call, make yourself easy to choose. I used to think getting hired in the film business starts with a phone call. It doesn't. A lot can shape that hiring decision before we ever speak. Here's what I may already be looking at. Mistake number 1, letting your reputation and online presence create doubt. This mistake applies to everyone, whether you're a PA or a producer, because what you post and how you use social media tells me something about your judgment, your network, and whether I can trust you with my clients. For a crew member, the red flag might be confidential set photos, constant complaints about a former production, or posts that make me question whether you'll get along with the rest of the crew. I'm not looking for the longest resume, and I'm not checking your follower count. I'm looking for red flags, and sometimes I find them fast. A production manager I respected moved up into the producer role, and I was excited. I thought I had finally found someone that I can recommend for my clients when I'm not available. Then we connected on social media, and I started seeing them post in Facebook groups looking for DPs, gaffers, and key grips. And it wasn't a last-minute emergency, which I get. They were building their crew that way. And I know some people will disagree with me, but I'm going to say this clearly. Facebook is not a crew list. It's an emergency room. If you're producing in your own market, knowing who to hire is part of your job. You should already have the department heads and trusted referrals and people whose judgment you know in your phone, ready to go. And if you're producing out of town, hire a local production manager who knows that market. That investment is far safer than filling important positions with strangers who reply to you on a Facebook post, because those groups can become a free-for-all. You post one job and suddenly dozens of people are applying, including people presenting themselves as far more experienced than they really are. And now you're putting those strangers in front of your client. Using social media because someone canceled at the last minute, that's one thing. Using it as your main way to find crew tells me resources are shallow in your book. Your local relationships are too weak, or you're producing a little bit over your head. I stopped thinking of that producer as someone that could replace me. They didn't lose one job. They lost my trust, my referrals, and access to the clients I might have handed them. Your social media reveals more than you think, and it can cost you jobs you never even knew you were being considered for. Mistake number 2, assuming there's no interview. So before I tell you this story, I need to be clear. This happened. It's not a hypothetical, but I've changed a few details because the lesson matters more than exposing the person involved. Here's the thing it took me forever to figure out. There is no formal interview in the film business. Nobody's going to sit you down, look at your resume, and ask where you see yourself in 5 years. No, that's not how it works. Actually, I kind of do that when I get on set. If you've worked with me and you're unsure about your direction, I may be offering some guidance. But this is how it usually happens. Someone recommends you, I pick up the phone, and that conversation, the one you think is just an availability check, is the interview. It always was. I was staffing a high-profile, out-of-town project. I was working directly with A-list talent. Someone came highly recommended, and the technical conversation that we had, it went great. Then they mentioned they had worked with this A-list talent before, and I thought, my search is over. Then I asked them how it went. And they told me there was an equipment malfunction on that previous job. They told it to me confidently because, in their mind, they weren't to blame. Then they told me the same talent on this job, the A-lister, was upset on that previous job. And I could not risk my production becoming associated with that same experience. My heart sank. They thought they were giving me useful context, but they probably should have just declined the job and waited for the next one. The conversation may feel casual to you, but the producer is still making the hiring decision. So I moved on to someone else. They never knew why. Have you ever realized after a phone call that you were probably being interviewed the whole time without knowing it? Let me know in the comments. On the call, make the producer feel confident choosing you. So now I've called you, you've picked up, and this is where you think the hard part is over, but it's not. Because everything you say, everything you don't say, and everything you reveal without realizing, it's still part of the same process. Let me show you where this goes wrong. By the way, you're contemplating whether to pick up the phone or not when you see my name on that screen. I can feel it. But don't worry, you watch enough of these videos, you can handle any producer, any department head that calls without a second thought. Mistake number 3, treating the call like a yes or no question. When a producer you've never met calls you to check your availability, you may know nothing about them or the project, and you don't have to give them an immediate yes or no before you understand what you're being asked to do. You can say, "Thanks so much for calling. I just may be available. Let me quickly check my schedule and confirm another hold, and I'll get right back to you. But in the meantime, tell me a little bit more about your project." Now, the conversation is open. You can learn whether it's a commercial, a documentary, branded content, music video, whatever. You can ask about the location and the schedule or anything unusual about the production. And once you understand what they need, you can connect your experience to the actual job. Maybe they tell you it's an Atlanta-based commercial in a remote location. Now you can say, "That sounds right in my lane. I just worked on a movie that had us in the woods for 3 days. We slept in cabins and it was awesome." At least for those who didn't watch a lot of horror movies in the 80s. Why were they all in the woods? Anyway, it was fun and my Atlanta assistant is awesome. Let me confirm that other hold. And I'll get back to you within a few minutes. Then do exactly that. Do not disappear for 3 hours. Do not make the producer chase you. Check your schedule and respond super fast, especially if you're not available. And if you are not available, the conversation still has value. You can say, "I'm confirmed on another job those dates, but that sounds exactly like the kind of work I do, and I'd love to be considered for the next one." Then give them 3 recommendations if you have any. Don't skip that part. It's a powerful trust signal they won't soon forget. The producer may not be able to hire you today, but now they understand what you do and how your experience fits and why your name belongs on the list the next time something comes up. An availability call is not a yes or no question. First call crew learn a little bit about the job, answer fast, and give the producer a reason to call you again. Mistake number 4, talking yourself out of the job. I want to be honest with you here, because I've made this mistake plenty early on. I used to think that talking was the way in. Tell them everything I know as fast as possible. Show them that I belong in the room. It took me watching other crew members doing the same exact thing on my calls and in my productions to realize how it actually landed. It didn't build trust. It created noise. Thank goodness I figured that out early. And you can too, because here's what I know as a producer. I'm not only listening to what you say, I'm deciding whether you know what not to say. Here are some examples. This is bad. The last producer had no idea what they were doing, and the whole job was a mess. Instead, say, "It was a difficult job with a lot of last-minute changes, but I learned early how important communication can be when the plan starts moving." Now, this is bad. I was basically doing the department head's job, but they never gave me the title. Instead, say this: "My official title was assistant, but I ended up handling several department head responsibilities, including scheduling, vendor coordination, and client communication." Okay, here's a bad one. "Honestly, I just really need to work right now." Better would be, "I have some availability coming up, and this sounds like the project that I could be really excited to support you on." It's the same story, but one vision makes you sound bitter, and the other makes you sound like someone who learned from it. Never fake competence. Never misrepresent what you can do. You don't have to say everything just because it's true. You have to know what actually helps the producer make a decision. Stop. The next mistake has cost productions thousands of dollars, and it starts with 3 words. I've done that. Mistake number 5, saying yes to something you actually cannot do. I needed a PA who could drive a 16-foot box truck. Standard enough ask for a production. I asked if he had experience. He told me confidently that he'd done it many times. So I hired him specifically for that purpose. He got into an accident with that truck. Now, you might say, it happens. It was an accident. We got a replacement. And then later that same day, I was on location waiting to help him unload. And I saw him pulling up and I started waving and yelling because he was just about to hit these branches that he hit anyway. And he ripped a hole very similar to the first one. That's 2 trucks in one day. My production paid for repairs on 2 trucks that day. 2! He told me he could do something he couldn't. And these weren't just accidents. He was not aware of his surroundings while driving a vehicle that size due to lack of experience. A small no might have cost him that particular assignment, but it would not have cost him my trust. Pretending he could do it cost the production 2 trucks, and it cost him every future call I might have made. Never let the fear of losing one opportunity push you into claiming a skill you don't have. Because on a film set, the truth shows up fast. And when it does, it costs more than a job. Mistake number 6, claiming qualities instead of proving them. Hardworking, reliable, detail-oriented, a team player, great under pressure. Those words have almost no value anymore because everyone says them. Producers have heard them so many times they pass right through without landing. Here's what actually works. A short story that proves quality. I was producing a Coca-Cola commercial when a wardrobe stylist noticed that the craft service cooler had a few cans of Pepsi in it. Sounds harmless, right? But on a Coke commercial, no. That is actually a huge crisis. Imagine the Coke client reaching into that cooler and pulling out a competitor's product. Now, the stylist had nothing to do with craft service. It wasn't her department and nobody asked her to do anything. But she removed the cans before the client saw them. And she didn't make a fuss. And she didn't tell anyone. I found out about it later. I've continued to hire her ever since, not only because she's an excellent stylist, but because she can see beyond her own department and act on what she sees. She never told me she was detail-oriented. She just was. Your resume tells me where you worked. Your story tells me how you work. Know your proof stories. Keep them short and let them do the work your words never can. Take a minute after this video and jot down a couple of stories where you were particularly helpful. On set, make the producer feel choosing you was right. So you got the job, but the hiring process did not end. The set itself is now the interview for the next one. Mistake number 7, forgetting that the set is the interview for the next job. I've seen this happen more than once with crew members who get really good really fast. A key grip builds a strong reputation. He gets busy, starts getting called for multiple productions at the same time, and then something shifts. Technically, they're great, but now they're managing texts from other productions on set. They're there, but their attention is somewhere else. Now, I'm not talking about answering a quick message in between takes. I'm talking about making the production that you're on feel like it has already lost your attention. They had to be asked twice. They missed an important conversation about the next setup. And when the next job came up, I paused before dialing that number. And it hurt because the work was great, but the feeling was different. I've built my career on making every client feel like they are my one and only. Even when I'm juggling, even when I'm busy, even when I have 10 other things going on. The crew members who get called first do the same thing. Producers rarely remember the technical things you did. They remember how it felt to have you on the job. Was it calm or chaotic? Was it easy or exhausting? Did you make the day better or did you add noise? Every job is the interview for the next job. Show up fully every single time. After wrap, close the loop and start the cycle again. So the job wrapped. You did great work, and now you might think you have 2 choices. Wait for the phone to ring, or reach out when the work gets slow. First call crew do something different. They close the loop with a short message. This is where we use my framework. T, V, A. T is for them. Reference something about them first. V is for value. Share some value you can provide. And A is for availability. Give them a light mention about your availability. No pressure, no ask. Here's an example. Hey Rob, have you seen any great movies lately? I watched Breakfast Club this weekend. I can't believe I hadn't seen it before. Me either. That was about me. Well, in this case, them, because I'm receiving the text. Then the message continues. I just built a new portable dolly system and it's getting great reviews. It's fast to set up and even faster to move. The DPs and producers are loving it. That's the V, the value that a key grip is offering. Then I'm on a shoot next week, but I'm all yours after that if you need me. Boom. A for availability. See, just staying connected before you need something. And that one habit, done consistently and genuinely, loops straight back into everything we talked about today. Your reputation stays warm. Your name stays top of mind. And the next time a job comes up, you're not a distant memory. You're the first call. If you want to create texts like that super fast, I built an app just for you. It will give you outreach gold in about a minute. Click the link below and I'll send it to you. Here's a diagram of what I just shared. Before the call, the call, on set, after wrap, and it brings you back to before the call. That completes the cycle. Pause and take a screenshot of that if you like. Put it on your fridge, on the sun visor of your car, or make it your screensaver. Extra points if you send me a picture of it. Now that you know what producers are actually looking for, go back and think about your last 3 jobs. Which of these 7 mistakes showed up? Be honest with yourself. Because the crew members who fix this stuff fast are the ones who become the first call. And if you want to know how to stay connected so your name is there when the next job comes up, watch the video on screen right now. Don't network, connect.